Lilies like this Casablanca right behind me make a huge impact in your midsummer garden, and they couldn't be easier to grow. They are extremely cold tolerant, surviving cold winters in zones 3 through 9 and regrow bigger and better each year. When they come up in spring, the first thing you want to do is watch for the scarlet lily beetle. I control mine by hand picking them off into soapy water each morning for a good couple of weeks, and then I might go 2 to 3 years without seeing one. Now it's been about 3 years since I've seen them, and I had a few in my garden this year. But you can easily prevent them from becoming a problem by just simply spending a couple of minutes here and there early on in the spring when they first start to come out of the ground. And it is so worth it when you see these gorgeous beauties blooming in your landscape. The only other pest I've had a problem with is deer. And this year, for the first time, I've had deer eat off the top of only my oriental hybrid lilies. And we're going to look at the difference between those and the Asiatics right now. Both types of lilies prefer 6 to 8 hours, which is full sun, but the more is better. They like well-drained soil. Most types of soil are fine, even clay, which is what I have here. But best case scenario is a fairly rich loam that holds moisture but does not stay waterlogged. The flowers will appear on top of a single stalk, so if it gets damaged earlier in the season, you will not get flowers. Case in point with these, which are the ones that the deer ate. So when the flowers have faded, all you want to do is nip off the flower itself, leave all the foliage. It looks quite nice at this point, but even when it starts to die away, it's important to leave it until it is completely died back, because it is at this point here where the plant is feeding into the bulb, which is the part underground that will survive the winter and produce a brand new bloom stalk next season. And the more that foliage is allowed to stay, the bigger, taller, stronger, and the more flowers you're going to get on top of that stalk next year. Now is also a good time to give it a light feed while it's feeding into the bulb to ensure you get a good show of flowers next year. It's easy to tell the difference between the Asiatics and the oriental hybrids just by the foliage. Here are the Asiatics, and they have bloomed earlier on in the season. They're definitely the ones that bloom first. They don't have much of a scent also, and you can tell that some of them get very big and very tall. These flowers were about 5 feet up off the ground, and I did cut these about 3 weeks ago when the blooms finished. And right here next to the Asiatic is an oriental. You can definitely tell the difference in leaf shape right here. These are much more pointy, more uniform in width, but these ones are wider at the base and then taper more towards the front. So those are your oriental hybrids. They're often a little bit fancier looking. They bloom 2 to 3 weeks later, depending on the variety, and most have a really strong scent. These ones have opened, these ones have not opened yet, but the points are starting to separate on the top, so we may get a flower on this one tomorrow. Now these are my oldest stand of Casablanca lilies. They get at least 8, closer to 10 hours of sunlight each day. They stand about 6 feet tall. They have a gorgeous smell. Their stalks are like tree trunks at this point, but the flowers are starting to fade. You can see a couple of good ones still at the top and a couple of buds yet to open. And then here's a flower that's completely faded away, and if it does get pollinated, this is where seeds will form. But it can take many, many years to get a flower from seeds that you harvest, so I don't usually let the seeds develop. I'll cut this off here once all the flowers are faded, and I'm just going to leave this foliage to die back naturally. Now there are a lot of different specialty types of lily, and this one is called a martagon lily. This is the last lily that blooms here for me, and it is August 2nd, I think. You can see the petals fold back completely. The flower faces down. It's sometimes called a Turk's cap lily, but the official term is martagon. This one will likely be open tomorrow, but this does an interesting little trick, and it produces little mini bulbs all along the stem. Every single one of these is capable of growing a new plant. Now I actually covered that in a video last year. I'll link that at the end if you're interested in watching. I think I called it Garden Surprises because I did a couple of other things. Oh, now see, this may be a lily beetle larva. Let's see if we can peel that back. I don't see much. Whatever's there was gone already, but that could very well have been a lily beetle larva. So you can look out for things like that. I'm going to look more carefully afterwards. But each of these, let's pick one off just for fun. Now when they get a little bit more mature, you'll even see a small white root emerging from the bottom, and you can just let these drop, maybe toss a little mulch or compost at the base of the plant to bury them, and you'll get brand new seedlings popping up. And again, may take a few years to bloom, but still, look at all these possible new lilies. So I'm going to be watching for when these mature because that is very exciting. And I did see bulbils like this on my Casablanca once. I think that was 4 or 5 years ago. I wish I knew what I did with them. I think I gave them away. Now I want to pop behind these for a second to bring attention to these daylilies. Now these are equally beautiful blooms, but they're called daylilies because they'll only last one day. And these are not the same as these varieties at all. You can see all the strappy foliage coming from the base, and brand new bloom stalks will come up from the base full of flowers throughout the season, depending on the variety, of course. And you can see from each stalk, there are multiple buds. Each of these spots is where there was already a flower that has fallen off. But beautiful as these flowers might be, they're not really worth cutting and using in a bouquet because they're going to die after one single day. But they come in a gorgeous array of shapes and colors and are a wonderful addition to your landscape anyway. Well, look what I've just found. These must be my stargazer. I had so many blooms happening this year that I didn't even notice that I hadn't gotten these ones yet. So I guess the Martagon is not the last one to bloom. These stargazers are. These are a very popular variety of oriental lilies. Gorgeous dark pink. I'll toss a picture up on the screen so you can see what they look like since they haven't bloomed yet. And this is a difficult video to make because I only ever have a couple of varieties blooming at any one time, and I cut probably 2/3 of my lilies to use in bouquets. They are such fantastic sellers. This past Sunday I sold out at the market and took advanced orders for delivery later on in the week. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.